Hey there, I'm Adrienne, your go to guide on this empowering journey to self love and authenticity. I've transformed my own struggles into strengths, and now I help others navigate their path to their inner knowing and create personal fulfillment. On this show, we're not shying away from tough conversations. We're diving headfirst into topics like self worth, overcoming limiting beliefs, challenging societal norms, and creating a life that's not just successful, but truly fulfilling. We're all about blending heartfelt, soul searching chats with practical, actionable strategies. Think of this podcast as your trusty compass on the path to your most authentic life, mixed with a cozy fireside chat with a dear friend. Ready to uncover your true self and lead a life that's in sync with your deepest desires? You're in the right place, friend. Welcome to the Live Your Truth, Love Your Life podcast.
Hey there, welcome to Live Your Truth, Love Your Life. I'm Adrienne, and I appreciate you listening today. So today we're talking about resilience. I went into my hairstylist recently, and she asked me how things were going, and I told her that they were going great. A few bumps in the road lately, but all in all, I'm adjusting and going with the flow, so all is good. She asked what kinds of things have happened. I told her that within the last 2 months, 2 trips fell to pieces. One became something other than what I intended, and one I had to cancel altogether. There are some family health issues in the mix. I also dropped a massive glass container of Nivea lotion that shattered everywhere. Oh, and one of my dogs died. I'm still feeling all the feelings around my dog dying, so that was a hurried declaration tacked on at the end because I wasn't really in a space where I wanted to cry and feel that in that moment. It wasn't just a casual, oh, and this awful thing happened, to be clear. But she looked at me and she told me, "You're the only person I know that when things go to hell, you just make a new plan. Sometimes you even laugh about it. How in the world do you do that?" So I sat there for a second and I thought about it. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So, for full information, after that conversation with her, I had to cancel another trip that I had planned for a wedding. I had to bump up my trip back home to Boston due to some family stuff. And on my first night in town, I again dropped another giant glass jar of the same lotion, and it smashed. So, yeah, the Nivea glass container of lotion incidents may seem trivial, but they make a huge mess. There's broken glass everywhere, and it's entirely inconvenient. All is to say, basically, I'm on a roll. But I look at resilience as adaptability, acceptance, and being willing to at least consider that what isn't going good for me might be going better for somebody else. I'll break all of it down and we'll get into it, but I want to throw a few definitions out there just to get us all on the same page. So, for resilience, it's the power or ability of a material to return to its original form, position, etc., after being bent, compressed, or stretched. Elasticity. It's also the ability of a person to adjust to or recover readily from illness, adversity, major life changes, etc. Buoyancy. And so then adaptability is the ability to adjust to new conditions or changes in the environment effectively. So we all know that life is unpredictable. And resilience is critical because it equips us to handle the ebb and flow of the challenges and the changes, ensuring we don't just survive, but we thrive. That's what we all want, right? When things happen, especially things that are entirely out of my control, there's no forcing, there's no sucking it up, enduring. Rather, I try to take it in and adapt. I consciously change my mind and my actions. The thing is, it's not like I don't feel emotions. I get angry, I get sad, mad, frustrated, and whatever else comes along with when you feel like everything is going to hell in a handbasket. But I don't stay in those emotions. I feel them, remind myself the feeling is temporary, and when I've gathered myself, I try to consider what I can do next to adjust. An important part of resilience is to stop wishing for things to be different than they are. We can hold inspired visions in our heart that we work towards by aligning that vision with our actions, but putting energy into trying to change something that can't be changed is a fool's errand. It's a lesson that took a lot of years and it just took a lot to learn, but it's really true. You can't change things that can't be changed. Sometimes things just happen, and that is just the way that it is. And it's hard to accept it, it's hard to move into that space where you can see it, but when you can, it's freeing. Sometimes the best thing you can do is objectively assess the situation, which typically happens after you feel the muck of disappointment, frustration, or other low vibe feelings. When you can assess the situation, you can clearly see what has to be done to move forward. Maybe it's changing the plan, trying again, taking a break, pivoting entirely. Only you can decide what that looks like for you. So I said that acceptance is a key part of resilience. Acceptance is something that is a work in progress for me, and it doesn't happen instantaneously. I believe that everything I encounter is happening for my expansion. It's the experience I'm supposed to have, and I know that because I'm having it. I believe that life is happening for us, not to us. And even more powerfully, it's happening through us. I have found that when I can accept things, I feel like I'm co-creating life with life rather than feeling like life is out to get me. Acceptance doesn't mean that I like what's happening or I'm happy about it, but rather I can see it for what it is. This frees up energy to then move through the thing rather than trying to fight with what is. You don't need to know how you're going to move through it, how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to solve the problem. You can accept it without giving up your power. You can be afraid, you could be doubtful, experience suffering, and you can feel all of that and then make choices that will end your suffering. I believe in the old adage that pain is mandatory, suffering is optional. Meaning when you go through hard things, they're going to be awful. You're going to feel pain around that. But you don't have to stay in that. You don't have to create mental suffering. Also, something that might help is shifting your perspective. Sometimes what's happening in your life could be triggering events that will bring about the best for somebody else. Maybe. And maybe that's too optimistic for some, but it's possible. None of this stuff is easy. Life is hard. We all know that. But usually on the other side of hard is your most beautiful experiences and transformations. At least that has been my experience. That's not to say that because these bad things happen, you got to the other side of it and it's good, that bad things are never going to happen again. Of course, we know that they're going to keep happening. That's the ebb and flow of life. It's the ups and downs. Every day isn't going to be a 1. Every day isn't going to be a 10. You're kind of just going that up and down. And some days just are better than others, and some days aren't. But next time it feels like everything is falling apart, feel your feelings and then ask yourself how you can adapt and practice acceptance. It will put you in an entirely different energetic space. So until next time, I hope this was helpful and have a great week.
That's it for today's episode, my friends. Thanks so much for joining me on the Live Your Truth, Love Your Life podcast. To get even more out of today's conversation, don't forget to swing by the show notes and download your freebie. Want to keep the conversation going? I'd love to hear what spoke to you most today. Head on over to my Instagram at Live Your Truth, Love Your Life and drop me a comment. I'm always excited to connect and learn more about you. Remember, the journey towards living your truth and loving your life is a rewarding one. New episodes are dropping each Monday and Thursday, and I can't wait for next time. Until then, have a fantastic week.